हाँ काजल, हाँ एक सेकंड, क्या इसका सेकंड क्या आया होगा मुझे?
MS Teams चालू करा है मैंने।
हाँ फिर मैं इंस्टाग्राम का किया वो सेटअप।
हाँ OBS भी करा है। यो हस्ती MS Teams पे भी फोन से लाइव जा रही है क्या? तो उसका स्क्रीन
फ्रेम करना पड़ेगा।
पोर्ट्रेट पे आएगा।
हाँ वो अभी प्लीज हैंडल इट, थैंक यू।
पॉज कैसे करूँ उसको?
चल रहा है टिकर
सेंड लाइव तूने सेंड लाइव
विजुअल सही नहीं होगा इस लैपटॉप में मैं कैसे करूँगा?
क्या है ये? क्या वाला?
ये रिद्धि वाला तो इट्स वेरी स्लो नो।
कहाँ
तो वो डेवलप
हाँ तो रुक जा रुक
मेरा ले ले।
ये बीच में
सी मेरे से 2 9 जा रहा है।
मैं अभी भड़क के आई उस पे।
एक्चुअली एक ही पीसी में ऐसा सीन हो रहा है, दूसरे पीसी में बहुत
दोबारा
स्मूथ
बैठ
है।
तो अलग बैठो दोनों।
एक ही रूम से गए हैं।
अरे उधर बैठ तू
मेरा लैपटॉप चार्ज नहीं कर रहा।
प्लीज, थैंक यू। तने तू यहाँ शिफ्ट થઈ जा थोड़ी। रुचि
तो एक बार
रीनर को ऐड करा है आपने?
कम है और इधर मेरे को पता नहीं क्या है।
आप मैं इन्हीं में जाके पार्टिसिपेट कर रही हूँ। आई एम होपिंग यू कैन हैंडल दिस।
यस यस अरे लेकिन हेतवी सुन रहा है, ये थोड़ा लैग हो रहा है मेरे में लैपटॉप में।
कौन बंदे को बोलो कि ये नहीं हो रहा है, सिंध आईटी का आप अगर कुछ भी हो जाए है
नहीं
हाँ 80
को पानी दे
उधर 80
ये तू नहीं ज्वाइन कर रहा ना फेसबुक यूट्यूब में के लिए मैंने कर लिया है, इंस्टाग्राम के लिए चांदनी ने कर
स्टार्ट
लिया
हो गया है।
नहीं उसमें सिर्फ फिनांजी दिखा है।
मतलब ऐसे स्टार्ट कर दिया ना।
हाँ हाँ तो यूट्यूब पर मैंने करा है, मैं यू डोंट नीड टू जॉइन। अच्छा पानी है कितना लोग हैं मीटिंग में? ये रहा इसमें नहीं
पासवर्ड
एज ऑफ नाउ
माइक बंद कर।
है काफी
माइक बंद कर।
एक बंदे के इसमें लॉगिन ही नहीं कर पा रहा हूं।
अरे आवाज आ रहा है इधर से YouTube लाइव।
My ID is showing log M151. मैं ट्राई करूँ तो ये जावे सर।
M151
disconnected.
M151
तो खरीदी अरे पर बेचारा है वो तो खरीदी निकाला है। कंटिन्यू करो जरा।
मैंने कहा चालू ले M1 स्पीकर में आने में सर मैं क्या करने लगे बंदा पे। मैंने जीता।
अब आ रहा है आपको कनेक्ट?
मैंने जीता।
हाँ
कनेक्शन आ रहा है? मीटिंग क्यों नहीं ज्वाइन कर रहे बोलो?
BBS कॉल है।
उधर ये है ना?
एक सेकंड उधर आवाज देखो एक सेकंड।
पानी तो फ्रिज में डाल के ठंडा चाहिए तो मतलब को नहीं पता।
ऑडियो ऑफ कर सकते हो तुम लोग 2 मिनट नहीं ऑडियो कंप्यूटर ऑडियो बंद है।
किसका चालू है?
पता नहीं एको हो रहा है आवाज स्पीकर्स का।
वो चालू रखना पड़ेगा वरना इसमें कुछ आवाज नहीं आएगा।
सिस्टम वॉल्यूम करना पड़ेगा तो भी ये
बस गया एको आवाज गया।
पानी चाहिए फ्रिज में?
ये हस्ती को बोलोगे
माइक चालू है तेरा?
मेरे इसमें है शायद, मेरे इसमें है शायद, मेरे इसमें
बंद है इसमें
खुशी रोको। लैपटॉप कौन सा है?
लेकिन जल्दी आता है
चालू क्यों नहीं हुआ?
हेलो चिराग या
किसी का चालू है अभी तो माइक ढूंढना पड़ेगा।
हाँ मैंने टैप कर दिया अब RSCP कुछ आ रहा है
बोल के आवाज आ रहा है।
एक
इसको बंद कर दो।
yeah just 1 minute the speaker volume seems to be low so we are trying to do something with that speaker volume. I can see a girl there okay great yes I can see somebody all right okay see you then huh? Bye bye yeah good. Rajiv, can you do the video sharing as well? Because I am not sure. Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you too. How are you doing?
Okay. You can see me, good. I'm good, thank you. And how are you? Oh, good.
We'll begin in next 2 minutes.
Okay, great. Can you see my face clearly or blurred or all right? So are you. Thank you. That's great. It's a very cold day today.
Very. Every day. In fact, I don't feel cold all the time.
Okay, great.
I can't see that. But I can see when you're keeping it there, you rotate things. Hi, it's okay. Then I'm in the talk. Begin?
Yeah.
So let's move ahead with our event. I would like to
Ma'am,
Ma'am, here? Yes. So I would like to invite the next speaker for the day. That's Dr. Dipali Pant Joshi, who will be speaking on the topic of the new economic paradigm and India in the COVID world. So before I begin, a short introduction about ma'am. So Dr. Dipali Pant Joshi is a former executive director of the Reserve Bank of India. She is a development economist and a writer, and she writes on various economic subjects. While keeping the lecturing passion close, she has delivered lectures as a guest for many famous Indian institutes. And I'm so happy to have her here today. I just can't wait to get immense knowledge.
Thank you. And who is the charming young lady speaking to me?
Myself, Hasti Sangraj ka.
Sorry, Hasi?
Hasti.
Hasti.
H-A-S-T.
Wow, very nice. Okay, great. So shall we seg you into it?
Yes.
So first of all, thank you very much, Meaty Bai College, for having me. And I hope you're having a great festival. Now, I decided to speak to you about the new economic paradigm, India in the COVID world, because COVID has changed so many things. COVID has almost fundamentally altered our world. So the challenges which we as economies and as nations faced pre this unknown event, because no one could have foreseen what would happen. No one could have dreamt of it. As somebody was joking, who would imagine that we would go wearing masks into a bank and ask for money? So
mask is suffocating.
Yeah, it is. So, before this happened, we were worrying that Brexit is going to be delayed. And in the world, people were worrying what is going to happen. Then they were worried that the oil markets are going to be disrupted. Then there were trade tensions happening between US and Iran. Then China, which was known as the office of the factory of the world. India is the office of the world. China started deleveraging. There was climate change. There seemed to be a lot of social tensions and a sense of economic inequality. So what happened then? Then nobody realized that COVID-19 will shrink global GDP by 5.2%, the worst since the Second World War, and that we may face a huge recession. There was an economic shock. Couldn't function, factories couldn't work, so there was weakened productivity, depressed investment, and disrupted global supply chains. Now, what are the three things which make an economy run? The three things are: one is consumption. When you go out and you buy a pizza, you buy yourself a gear scooty, you buy the latest iPhone, all these nice things, which I'm sure you want at least your boyfriend to get you something on Valentine's Day, which is around the corner. So when you consume, you're helping the economy. When you invest, as people of my age tend to do, you are helping the economy. So consumption, investment, and mostly expenditure power the economy. All three ground to a halt in the pandemic. So let me tell you a bit about what is the basic thing, which is the biggest thing, which I think, or some of the things, and we'll discuss the policy choices. So, how many of you have you read Charles Dickens at all ever?
No.
Hello?
No.
Hello? No. Okay, doesn't matter. And okay, has anybody read Julius Caesar?
Yes.
Yes. No.
Partly, I recollect a few things.
Okay. So when I think of the world, I think of this passage I'll tell you two passages. One from Julius Caesar and one from Charles Dickens. So Julius Caesar said, there is a tide in the affairs of men which taken at the flood leads on to fame and fortune. Omitted, all the voyages of their life is bound in shallows and miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves or lose our ventures. So basically, it is a very, very dangerous inflection point for the world, and our policy choices become very important. Your picture is very hazy now. Chirag?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Could you repeat that?
Should say yes, no, because I feel I'm disconnected. Okay. Now to tell you about Charles Dickens. He wrote a book called A Tale of Two Cities. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can hear you, ma'am. You're audible. Ma'am, are you there?
Okay. He says, yeah, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven. We were all going direct the other way. In short, the period was so like the present period that some of its noisiest authorities insisted on its being received for good or for evil in superlatives of comparison only. And I'll explain why, or a very bad thing. So some events which happen suddenly and which are never anticipated or premeditated are called black swan events. Because generally, what are swans? White. So this was a black swan event, and this is impacting all our established practices, norms, regulations, and so it is economic loss from the pandemic will be because we haven't seen this economic downturn. Thank you for that. Has caused widespread anxiety about the imminence of a recession and the fear that the world has been derailed from a high economic growth trajectory. So many people draw parallels between the year 2008 and the year 2020. Now, while the year 2008 was the year of the great financial crisis, so it was just a financial sector problem which spilled over to the real sector. This time, it is a real sector.
Ma'am, I guess your network is lagging in between. I've lost you your. Ma'am, you there?
What?
Ma'am, I guess there are some network issues from your end. I'm unable to hear you.
What are the blocks in the economy from growing very, very fast? Sorry.
Ma'am, I can't hear you. I guess there's some network issues from your end. Your voice is lagging.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll try on another device. Yes means you can hear or cannot hear.
I'm able to hear
I
you now.
think is the volume all right? Just check because it's just saying they can't hear.
It's fine now. I can hear you right. It's fine. I've lost you again.
Okay, great.
No issues, we'll wait.
Okay, let's see. If you can't,
Ma'am, I guess your voice is audible, but maybe there is some network issues because of which it is lagging. Beach mein I'm unable, I'm losing you in between.
Ajay, I'm trying from another device. I'm trying to log in.
I can hear you now again. What is happening?
You can hear.
Online world, here we are.
Wait, we'll try from another device.
Yes, okay, fine, no issues.
If we can get through, because that will be better. I think I'm trying from my iPad. Anyway, it's connecting you. Oh God.
Till then, it's on the other device.
I'm trying. Ajay, it's really hassling me today.
Right now, there's no network issues. I'm able to hear you properly since the last 2 minutes. So I guess right now there's no network issue.
Okay. So what I was telling you was, maybe I was coming too close. So what? So then we'll forget about this. अब ऐसे भी ये तंग कर रहा है मुझको और कोई मेरे साथ बच्चे सो रहे हैं, कोई भी मदद नहीं करेगा.
अब सब सही है.
अच्छा सही है, चलो अच्छा बेटा. अब ऐसा है कि इंडियन इकोनॉमी के क्या चैलेंजेस हैं, मतलब इंडियन इकोनॉमी को क्या चीज है विच इज होल्डिंग इट बैक. तो उसमें एक बहुत बड़ी चीज है कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बहुत खराब है. So we have to invest a lot. So we have poor infrastructure. We have weak and excessive regulation over our banks, over our financial system. It's weak, it's excessive, and therefore maybe it's ineffective. We have too small a manufacturing sector. Manufacturing sector is very small. Then for our poorer people, we have absolutely no social safety nets. And all these things the pandemic brought out very clearly. Okay, so you can hear me now. I'm giving up on that. So India needs to create. Now, what is happening is that because there is no social safety net, there were so many problems which happened. So let me give you the overview. I better start with an overview. So we have domestic vulnerabilities, we have a weakening financial sector, we have a fragile labor market, and we have risks to long-term growth, which have only intensified.
I'm so sorry to disturb you in between. I just asked for a pen from my friend here. So I wanted to note down few takeaway points you were giving because it was something which I knew I need for my future reference. I was so much into it, and he gave me a straw right now.
Okay, don't worry. Don't worry. That is so okay. Now what is okay, you can note down that there have been a lot of changes in the what has happened among the key advanced economies. We call some, like we are a developing economy, there are advanced economies. So economic activity has contracted, it has come down. Where? In the United States, in Japan, in the Euro area, and in the UK. So in these advanced economies, as a result of COVID-19 and their own internal contradictions or problems, in these advanced economies, and I named again, I'll repeat, US, Euro area, Japan. And we say they are going through a synchronized slowdown. That is, they're slowing down together. Synchronized slowdown. Among the emerging market economies, the Chinese economy has gone into a pronounced decline. Economic activity has also shrunk in other emerging economies as Brazil and South Africa, because these are also large countries, Brazil and South Africa. And here also, things are not happening as one had hoped that they would happen. So now the V shape, we said, what kind of recovery will we have? We will fall and then suddenly we'll grow up in a V. But that's not happening. Global financial markets have become a little calmer, and the equity markets, at least in India, they are recovering. But portfolio flows to the emerging market economies have revived. People have started reinvesting in the emerging market economies like India, because when the COVID came, everybody rushed to the safe haven of their own countries. So people were not investing in India. Now the foreign portfolio investors, the foreign direct investment is what is taking your Sensex up. And the minute you see in the headlines that they have withdrawn their money, they have cashed out and gone away, your Sensex is, for the last 5 days, it has been going down, 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 down. Now the crude oil prices, because crude oil is very important for us. There are two things which we import. One is crude oil. We don't have oil, enough of oil. And can you tell me what the second is? Crude oil is necessary. The second is a little unnecessary, excessive, but we import a lot of it. What can it be? What do Indians love?
No.
Think.
No idea.
Okay, which part of the country do you come from?
I come from Gujarat.
You come from Gujarat. Huh? So what do Gujus love? Gold. Such hai. Gold is such hai.
Gold. Yes.
Gold. So we import a lot of gold. So that our current accounts, because we are importing a lot of gold which we don't require. Oil we have to import, so that's why we put a lot of curbs on gold. And
Right.
then one more thing which Gujus are very good at is manufacturing, is dhando. Dhando. For that you need capital, you need money. And in the COVID period, the banks are reluctant to give you the money. And I have friends with a Gujarati entrepreneur who told me that Ben dhando ka pehla usool hai, apna paisa nahi lagate. We take loans and we leverage the loans. And that is good business, sharp business acumen. So you leverage the loans. Now, if the banks are not willing to give you loans, then you're not able to leverage them and the economy does not get ahead. So that is a very significant drawback which the country is facing now. It is a shortage of capital. It is a shortage of money to run the business, which will then give employment, which will then generate surplus income, which will enable you to get your latest iPhone and consume. And when you consume, the virtuous cycle will start. It will again be plowed back into the dhando, which will prosper. The country will prosper. The economy will prosper. So there are linkages which you can understand in each of these processes. Anyway, so the OPEC countries, they agreed to cut their production because the oil-producing countries had decided that they would, cartelize. And they were creating issues because the price of oil was going up. We were getting poorer. Anyway, so these are the things. Now, there are long-term repercussions also. What is going to the long-term? There are a lot of long-term repercussions of the world economy. For the Indian economy, I'm still discussing the issues which are troubling us. One is weak financial market infrastructure, FMI, financial market infrastructure. Your stock market is not strong. You don't have a corporate bond market. your banks are unwilling to lend. Why? Because they are trammeled with, if they have 100 rupees and 70 is non-performing assets, then they're not able to lend 100%. And then if they can't lend, because a bank is like a money shop, it earns only when it lends, because then it gets the interest back.
Right.
जो ब्याज होता है ना, वो तो फिर मिलेगा नहीं. अच्छा, बैंक्स की एसेट क्वालिटी बहुत खराब हो गई है. अब बैंक्स को गवर्नमेंट ने, मोदी साहब ने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है, उनको रिकैपिटलाइज किया है. एंड वंस द बैंक्स आर recapitalized, means the government has injected capital into the bank. So that the NBFC sector, that is the non-bank finance sector, has also shown you severe weaknesses. Okay. And half your country is still unbanked. People don't have bank accounts.
True.
So you need a robust financial system to support economic activity and growth. So that is the first priority which has to be there for the economy. Now the banks are also hesitant to lend because there's corporate risk. There have been a lot of frauds and corporate scandals which heighten the risk perception and dampen not only domestic sentiment, but that of overseas investors in the Indian economy. If they feel that there are going to be so many frauds, why would they like to invest in the Indian economy? Then what are the recent scandals? There was a company called the Infrastructure Leasing and Finance Company. If you go towards Bandra Kurla, you see a huge building which says ILFS, which used to invest in infrastructure. That company suddenly collapsed. Then you
I guess I lost your network. Ma'am, there is a distance from your end.
Indian Airlines for no, I can't get you. I can't hear you.
Yes, like just for the last 1 minute, I guess, 50 seconds to 1 minute, I lost you.
Okay. So I was saying that Kingfisher Airlines also collapsed, and
Right.
Indian Airlines is in a very poor position because there are no buyers for Indian Airlines.
Right.
So I was talking about the recent scandals in various sectors. So this was the aviation sector. So there are problems in the aviation sector which have heightened because nobody was taking flights because of the pandemic, because of COVID-19. Otherwise, I would have come to your college, right? I can't take a flight. I can't move out. Then there was the entertainment sector. There, ZTV failed suddenly. ZTV was a failure in the entertainment sector. So NPAs and all these non-performing loans, banks had lent a lot to ZTV, banks had lent to ILFS, banks had given loans to Kingfisher. Then in travel sector, Cox and Kings failed. It was a big travel agency which used to take everybody abroad. Then there were bank scams. At Punjab National Bank, there was Nirav Modi and Mehul Bhai. And Karnataka, there was Vijay Mallya. Then the Mumbai Cooperative Bank failed. And all of a sudden, Yes Bank failed, which was a private sector bank. We said it will bring new technology, but it failed. And it was bailed out by State Bank of India. So all these successive failures held up a mirror to the complete collapse of corporate governance and the absence of board level leadership, because every bank or every institution is governed by a board, and that board is responsible for taking sound financial decisions. So there was some problem, and all these sectors worsened the situation of banks because banks were overexposed and overlent to all these sectors. Then there was a twin balance sheet problem. Twin balance sheet problem was the financial sector was hamstrung because it had all these high non-performing assets and it was not in a position to support economic growth because the balance sheet of the companies weakened simultaneously. So they were not able to repay their loans. There was no way ZTV, Cox and Kings, Nirav Modi would be able to give back their money because their companies were failing spectacularly. So domestic, and along with all of this, you had domestic economic growth because you had slowing consumption and slowing investment. Individuals were not consuming. They were postponing all their consumption decisions. And now there is a risk of inflationary pressure. Inflation is likely to rise in the economy because there is a heightened uncertainty surrounding macroeconomic outlook because there have been so many supply chain disruptions. So on the whole, though we have had a good monsoon, but there is global financial volatility. There is, as I mentioned to you, slowdown in the advanced economies also. And in India, we have a horrible problem. Even our hospitality sector is in a downturn because if nobody travels by plane, then nobody stays in a hotel. There are no conferences in hotels. So hotels are empty. There are no conventions. But at the same time, there is a constancy of the overheads. You have to pay your rent. You have to pay for electricity. You have to pay for your lights. You have to pay your taxes with zero occupancy. So banks lent to these sectors also. So all this is also happening. Then purchases of cars, purchases of luxury items have all come down, and the rating agencies are being very nasty. They are bringing India's rating down, which means that it's very difficult. Moody's is bringing the rating down. Though, of course, we joke that Moody's is very, very moody, but the point is that they are bringing the rating down. And we also say that the standards of standards and poor are very poor. But we can't ignore that we have a problem with our economy. So, as I said, that there is a serious issue. We say that we are very lucky people. Why? Because